Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Phoenix, Arizona. It's time for Valley Business Radio, spotlighting the Valley's best businesses and the people who lead them.
Hello and welcome to Valley Business Radio, where we tell the stories that traditional media tends to ignore and help connect you to the right people. I'm your host, Dr. Adrian McIntyre, and I'm joined in the studio today by Scott Hansen, publisher of the Arizona 100. The Arizona 100 is a twice-monthly digital publication that provides quick and concise, yet thorough, news of the people, events, and activities shaping Arizona. Welcome back, Scott.
It's great to be back.
Glad to have you. We sometimes talk with Abby Fink, also works alongside you in publishing this. I love this publication because it gives people such a unique lens into what's going on around the state. What are we seeing in the next issue?
Well, we've got some really good economic development business news for Arizona. And this issue in particular really casts Arizona in a very strong, great light from a business standpoint. Why it's great to have businesses here in Arizona, what's happening to make that work. And among them is some great news coming from Canada, which is, of course, one of our strong trading partners here, and particularly here in Arizona, where we have so many Canadian visitors that come in. But Arizona, the state of Arizona, and the province of Alberta have agreed on a reciprocity deal.
Reciprocity is one of the tricky ones. You know, it's a word that gets us coming and going.
So
there's a reciprocity deal.
Right. And so basically what that is that the state of Arizona and Alberta have formally recognized an agreement that will loosen lending restrictions between banks and businesses in both places. And this is really expected to fuel some new investment, create jobs, and really stimulate economies here in both places.
Now, that is fascinating because, of course, there's a de facto reciprocity of sorts with visitors coming here.
You can say that, okay.
I could say, years of practice, but people going back and forth, and now dealing with the banking and business side on both ends of that relationship just makes sense. It was already happening on the ground, as it were. So now cleaning up the legislation and the agreements around it certainly will stimulate new investment and the economies of both sides.
It certainly will. It certainly will. And that kind of leads into one of the other stories that we have coming up in the Arizona 100 this week is that Wallet Hub did a recent report, and 7 Arizona cities have been named among the 100 fastest growing in the United States. And Tempe is ranked 32nd on that list. That's the highest in the state. There are 10 others from Arizona that made the list. And, of course, you can check out the Arizona 100 to find out which those 10 are.
This is something, the growth is happening so fast that, and across the state of Arizona, we see this a lot in cities here in the Valley, but it really does touch on other places throughout the state as well, as I know you're going to tell us here in a minute.
Right, exactly. Well, so another report that we've got, this came from the Arizona Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and the best city for businesses in Arizona, Gilbert.
Wow.
Yeah, so how about that? So they were chosen for their commitment to support local businesses, improve the quality of life for residents, reduce regulatory burdens. And among the highlights, Gilbert boasts 250,000 current residents, a very educated workforce, 44% of which have a bachelor's degree or higher.
We hear stories of Gilbert from time to time in this studio, renovations and new developments around their historic core, lots of other exciting, interesting things happening out there. I saw something in the Phoenix Business Journal this morning about some farmland being repurposed. So it's definitely a place to watch in the East Valley.
It really is. In fact, I think the entire East Valley is a place to watch. And for somebody who's lived here my whole life, it is fascinating for me to see when was the other side of the earth where I was growing up, now becoming the center for innovation and economic development here in the Valley.
It's very interesting.
It really is. And it's not just here in the Valley that we're talking about in the Arizona 100. We have a thought leadership piece from Greater Yuma County. Of course, Yuma in the southwest corner of Arizona goes across 2 countries, Arizona and Mexico, of course, but also 2 states, really 4 states if you want to count California, here Arizona, and then Sonora and Baja in Mexico. But more than 1.5 million people live in and around the Yuma area.
I've passed through there a few times on trips to San Diego, and to be honest, I never really stopped to think about the significance of this very important county. And it's interesting to think of Greater Yuma as much of southern Arizona as including the southern side of that border as well, and the relationship between those four states, Arizona, California, Sonora, and Baja, creates an entity where there's a lot of interesting economic waves being made.
Right. I think we often overlook that what's going on down in Yuma. For me, I think, we've got the Marine Corps Air Station down there, and that's been an economic driver in that community since its inception. But there's some other pretty big businesses that are located down there. General Motors is there, Johnson Controls, Northwestern Industries, International Paper, just to name a few. And then, of course, you've got some of those industries that are related to defense. Lockheed Martin's got a big presence down there. AQST Space Systems, Rolls-Royce is down there as well. So Yuma is not maybe it's a sleeping giant for now.
For now, but also conversations around a possible spaceport. I mean, it's a very interesting place to pay attention to.
It is. And so the Arizona 100 will take us also to another part of southern Arizona where Sun Corridor and the Tucson Airport Authority have partnered to really advance commercial development in and around the Tucson area. Sun Corridor has developed a long-range plan to diversify the economy down there and really guide economic development with a real plan for the future. It's sort of an economic blueprint for the entire Tucson region.
Marvelous. And, obviously the second most populous area of the state, strong university, corporate partnerships, a lot happening in southern Arizona as well.
Right. And of course, you mentioned the university. Now it's called U-Arizona.
That's right. As in, if you have a golf cart violation, U-Arizona. That
is classic stuff right there.
Well, it's interesting how this connects to the next story. Eric Olson from Fast Turtle has appeared in the Arizona many times to talk about the importance of SEO and other website-related issues. And it seems as though the University of Arizona realized that simply representing themselves as UA or U of A was putting them at a disadvantage in our digital age. So it seems to make they're actually, although it's fun to poke fun, there's a lot of smart thinking that went into that. Now, Eric's back from Fast Turtle to talk about websites. He's got some tips about essentials for the usability of a site. It's not just making it look pretty. It really has to work well for the people using the site.
Right. Of course, Eric, as you mentioned, been on Arizona 100 many times, and Fast Turtle is really a leader in when it comes to this industry. And basically what he says is if you don't take the time to ensure the usability of your website, you're wasting your time. And it's so important to choose your content management system wisely. He's got some tips on that and some other essentials for any business's website. And of course, that's one of the reasons that Fast Turtle is a leader when it comes to that type of thing, is that Eric and his team are incredibly smart and understand the whole world of SEO and how essential that is for businesses today.
It's a very dynamic and ever-changing landscape. It's good to have experts like Fast Turtle there to guide businesses through that.
Right, it is. So we've got a lot going on here in with the holidays. They will be on us quicker than we can think. Of course, we're starting to get through the back half of our college football season now, and that means that the Fiesta Bowl will start coming up again in conversations here around the state. Fiesta Bowl Wishes has granted $1 million to Arizona teachers.
That's a significant contribution to a community that really needs it.
Yeah, you can say that again. So part of its mission is to benefit Arizonans through youth and sports and education. The Fiesta Bowl organization and its Fiesta Bowl charities arm, Wishes for Teachers, and it's powered by Drive Time. They donated, like I said, $1 million to 200 different Arizona teachers. They've done this for 2 straight years, and we've got some information about that. And it's just amazing how many kids they've impacted. 138,000 students at 177 different schools, 52 school districts, and 40 cities across the state.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to support the future of anything, support the teachers.
Exactly, that's for sure. So we've also got some action going on that we're going to talk about in Scottsdale. Zuzu at the Hotel Valley Ho has completed a renovation. This is the Hotel Valley Ho has kind of revamped its whole signature award-winning restaurant, Zuzu. And it's really going to be quite special. And this is the first renovation they've done there since it reopened back in 2005. So pretty cool.
I have to get out and check that out.
And, speaking of checking things out, coming up right after the first of the year, Cirque du Soleil coming back to Arizona. Have you ever seen Cirque du Soleil?
Now, I have actually. My wife and I, before children, BC, as they say, we did catch a show of theirs in Las Vegas, and it was phenomenal. I've never seen people do the kind of acrobatic performances and incredible feats of strength and agility that we saw there. It was really quite impressive. But I've not seen them on the road.
Well, so HMA Public Relations, we took our team to I haven't had a corporate outing at one of these a few years ago, and it was just spectacular. And I think Cirque du Soleil sort of opens itself up to all ages and any type of an audience because, as you mentioned, they do some incredible things. So the Cirque du Soleil group will be coming to Phoenix. They'll be coming to the Talking Stick Resort in February. Then they've got a new ice spectacular that they've just unveiled, and that's coming to Prescott Valley. They'll be there in March at the Findlay Toyota Center. And then they'll be in Tucson for 6 performances down at the Tucson Convention Center in April. So if you have interest in seeing that kind of a thing, there's a lot of opportunity to do that throughout the state.
Well, it's, again, an indication of the vibrancy of culture and business throughout the state that these shows are coming to, not just the Metro Phoenix area, but also Prescott Valley and down in Tucson. That's a really marvelous thing to see. Scott, the Arizona 100 is a free publication. It comes to people's inboxes twice a month. How do they find out more information about it and even submit stories if they have them for consideration for the publication?
Well, we have an info@Arizona100 email address, and we're always looking for input from our readers across the state who have things that they think other folks in Arizona might be interested in. You can also visit the Arizona 100 website.
Fabulous. TheArizona100.com. Scott Hansen, publisher of the Arizona 100, thanks for joining us to give a preview of the upcoming issue.
Always great seeing you. Thanks so much.
For all of us here at Business Radio X, this is Dr. Adrian McIntyre, and we'll see you next time on Valley Business Radio.